London, 1888. A city of contrasts where opulence brushed shoulders with unimaginable squalor. The heart of an empire, yet teeming with hidden darkness. Whitechapel, a maze of alleys, poverty and fear. A district choked by fog and despair, where life was cheap and hope was a distant dream. In this forgotten corner, a story began, a chilling tale that would grip the world and echo through the ages. A story written in blood, etched onto the cobblestones of Whitechapel's grim streets. A name whispered in terror, a name that would forever be synonymous with unspeakable horror. Jack the Ripper, the moniker that sent shivers down the spines of Londoners and beyond. No one saw his face. No one could offer a reliable description. He was a ghost. He was a phantom in the fog, a predator lurking in the impenetrable gloom of Victorian London. Striking in the dead of night when the gaslights flickered and shadows danced with malevolent glee. His victims' vulnerable souls caught in the unforgiving web of poverty and desperation. Women of the street, struggling to survive in a world that offered them little more than scorn and hardship. For 5 of them, their lives were brutally cut short. Their names forever linked to the Ripper's reign of terror. Their time ran out in brutal fashion. Their final moments a horrifying testament to the Ripper's depravity. The killer's methods were savage and precise, suggesting a chilling familiarity with the human body, suggesting knowledge of anatomy, a disturbing clue that fueled countless theories and investigations. Perhaps a doctor, a respected member of society harboring a dark and deadly secret. Or a butcher, accustomed to the sight of blood and the handling of flesh. He vanished as quickly as he appeared, melting back into the fog-shrouded streets, leaving only carnage behind. Leaving behind scenes of horror that would forever haunt the collective memory of London. Scotland Yard was powerless, baffled by the Ripper's cunning and the sheer brutality of his crimes. The technology of the time, primitive, ill-equipped to deal with such a sophisticated and elusive killer. No fingerprints, no way to definitively link a suspect to the crime scenes. No DNA, no scientific means of identifying the perpetrator with certainty. No cameras to capture the Ripper in the act, to provide a visual record of his reign of terror. All they had were crime scenes, gruesome tableaux that offered few tangible clues. Terrified whispers, rumors and speculation swirling through the dark alleys of Whitechapel, and a city gripped by panic, paralyzed by fear and uncertainty. Newspapers turned the killer into a legend, sensationalizing the crimes and fueling the public's morbid fascination. Fanning the flames of fear, spreading the Ripper's infamy far and wide. Then came the letters. A chilling and audacious act that further cemented the Ripper's place in history. Taunting, chilling, filled with macabre details and a disturbing sense of self-awareness. Signed, Jack the Ripper. A signature that became a symbol of terror. Was it really him, or a cruel hoax perpetrated by someone seeking notoriety? No one knew, but the name stuck, forever branding the unknown killer. The letters gave a face to the terror, a voice to the monster lurking in the shadows, a persona both mocking and terrifying, a glimpse into the mind of a killer. The Ripper was playing a game, a deadly game of cat and mouse with the police and the public, and all of London was his audience, captivated and horrified by his every move. The city awoke each morning, holding its breath, bracing itself for the inevitable news, dreading the next nightmare, the next gruesome discovery that would shatter the fragile peace. The legend was born, fueled by fear, speculation, and the enduring mystery surrounding the Ripper's identity. And the mystery began, a puzzle that has captivated generations and continues to defy resolution. In the gaslit shadows, where secrets thrived and darkness reigned, a monster walked unseen, leaving an indelible stain on the pages of history. And the world would never be the same, forever haunted by the specter of Jack the Ripper. Autumn, 1888. A chill wind swept through London, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and coal smoke. Whitechapel, already a district burdened by poverty and despair, was now paralyzed by terror. An unseen menace stalked its dimly lit streets. Each new murder sent fresh waves of fear, rippling outwards and consuming the already fragile sense of security. The terror spread through the district like a disease, infecting every corner and every mind. Women dared not walk alone, their footsteps echoing in the oppressive silence of the night. Every shadow held a potential threat. Men, desperate to protect their families and community, formed vigilante patrols, armed with lanterns and a shared sense of dread. But the Ripper, a phantom of the night, always slipped away, leaving behind only carnage and unanswered questions. The press, hungry for stories, sensationalized every gruesome detail, fueling the public's morbid fascination. They were turning the killer into a monster of myth, a boogeyman lurking in the shadows of London. Police faced immense pressure, from the public, from the media, and from the highest echelons of society. Even Queen Victoria herself demanded answers, adding to the weight of expectation on the investigators. Thousands were interviewed, suspects paraded through interrogation rooms, and hundreds detained, all in a desperate attempt to find a connection. But every lead, every promising clue, dissolved into nothing, leaving the police frustrated and the public terrified. Theories abounded: doctor, butcher, sailor, gentleman, but evidence was scarce, and the killer remained elusive, a ghost in the fog. After Mary Jane Kelly's murder, the most brutal of them all, the killings stopped as suddenly and inexplicably as they began, leaving a void of unanswered questions. Did the Ripper die, succumbing to illness or accident, his reign of terror brought to an end by fate? Did he get arrested for another crime, his true identity forever concealed behind bars? Or did he simply vanish, melting back into the anonymity of London's teeming streets, forever a ghost? No one knew, and the uncertainty only deepened the sense of unease. The silence that followed was as chilling, if not more so, than the murders themselves, a constant reminder of the horror that had unfolded. Whitechapel was left with fear, suspicion, and a deep-seated distrust that would linger for generations. It was left with an open wound in its history, a scar that time could never fully erase. The killer's shadow lingered long after he was gone, a dark stain on the city's collective memory. It was haunting the city, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath the veneer of Victorian society. The case remained unsolved, a testament to the limitations of Victorian-era policing and the enduring power of mystery. It was a mystery that refused to die, continuing to fascinate and terrify, ensuring that the name of Jack the Ripper would forever be etched in the annals of crime. Why does Jack the Ripper still haunt us over a century later? The mystery itself is the reason. A puzzle with a missing piece. It's a gothic horror come to life. Gaslit alleys, poverty, a killer who outsmarted the world's best police. The Ripper is the boogeyman made real, a symbol of evil hiding in plain sight. The case has spawned books, films, tours, and a legion of Ripperologists. Theories abound, suspects multiply, but the answer remains elusive. If he'd been caught, he'd be a footnote. Unsolved. He's a legend. We project our fears onto him, a blank slate for our darkest imaginings. The lack of an answer keeps the question alive, ensuring Jack the Ripper's place in history. Could the Ripper have been royalty? Some pointed to Prince Albert Victor, Queen Victoria's grandson. The idea of a royal killer was scandalous and irresistible. Rumors swirled: mental instability, secret diseases, hidden scandals. The theory claimed a massive cover-up by the royal family. But the facts don't fit. Records show the prince was far from London during most murders. The timeline collapses under scrutiny. The theory gained traction in the 1960s when conspiracy was in vogue. Prince Albert Victor was a convenient suspect, dead young, unable to defend himself, already dogged by rumors. But there's no real evidence linking him to the crimes. It's a story that overshadows the truth. The royal suspect remains a legend, not a solution. Sometimes, a good story is all it takes to keep a myth alive, but the facts tell a different tale. Shortly after the last horrific Ripper murder gripped London in fear, a new development emerged. The body of Montague John Druitt, a man of some standing, was discovered in the murky depths of the Thames. His death added another layer of intrigue to the already complex case. A barrister by trade and also a teacher, Druitt's life seemed respectable, ordinary even, but he'd tragically committed suicide, a desperate act that would soon draw him into the orbit of the Ripper investigation. He left behind a note, a chilling testament to his inner turmoil, expressing his profound fear of descending into insanity. Years later, as the Ripper case faded into the annals of history, A top Scotland Yard official, revisiting the cold case files, publicly named Druitt as a prime suspect in the Whitechapel murders. The timing of Druitt's death was undeniably suspicious. Druitt had abruptly lost his job, a significant blow just before his demise, which occurred almost immediately after the final canonical murder attributed to Jack the Ripper. But the evidence linking him to the crimes remains stubbornly circumstantial. He resided miles away from the impoverished and dangerous district of Whitechapel, and there was no evidence to suggest he possessed the anatomical skills displayed by the Ripper, and crucially, nothing definitively links him to any of the gruesome crime scenes that terrorized London. His suicide, while tragic, simply coincided with the abrupt end of the Ripper's reign of terror. For the police, facing immense public and political pressure to solve the case, naming a dead man as the culprit offered a convenient, albeit perhaps premature, way to bring closure to the investigation. No trial was necessary, no need to present irrefutable proof in a court of law, just a seemingly tidy ending to a very messy affair. But was this the truth? Meticulously uncovered, or simply a convenient way out of an impossible situation? Druitt's story, while offering a semblance of resolution, ultimately raises more unsettling questions than it definitively answers. The mystery of Jack the Ripper, far from being solved, only deepened, shrouded in the fog of Victorian London. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish Jewish hairdresser, lived in the heart of Whitechapel. He suffered from severe mental illness and was on the police's radar at the time. A police memo named him as a strong suspect, citing a witness who identified him, but refused to testify. Without that evidence, police couldn't act. Kosminski was eventually committed to an asylum, where he died years later. Decades later, DNA tests on a shawl linked to a victim were claimed to match Kosminski's descendants. Headlines declared the case closed, but the evidence is shaky. The shawl's origin is disputed, and the DNA tests are controversial. Many experts remain unconvinced. Kosminski is a compelling suspect, but his guilt is far from proven. He remains another shadow in the Ripper's gallery. The truth, as always, is elusive. George Chapman, born Surin Klasowski, was a Polish immigrant with medical training. He lived in Whitechapel during the murders and fit the profile violent, misogynistic, and skilled with anatomy. Years later, he was hanged for poisoning 3 wives. Inspector Aberline, a lead Ripper investigator, believed Chapman was the killer. The timing fit. Chapman arrived in London as the murders began, left as they ended. But there's a problem. Poisoners and mutilators are very different killers. Poison is distant, secretive. The Ripper's crimes were brutal and direct. Could one man be both? Some say yes, others doubt it. Chapman's case is strong, but not conclusive. Was Aberline right, or just desperate for closure? The question lingers, unanswered. Chapman remains a suspect, not a certainty. The Ripper's true identity stays hidden. Not all suspects were killers. Some were artists. Walter Sickert, a celebrated painter, was obsessed with the Ripper case. He painted Jack the Ripper's bedroom and explored dark city scenes. Crime novelist Patricia Cornwell spent millions trying to prove Sickert was the Ripper, citing hidden clues in his art and DNA from Ripper letters. She painted him as a brilliant, twisted killer who confessed through his work. But art historians and scientists dispute her claims, calling the evidence circumstantial and the DNA inconclusive. Sickert's fascination was typical of his era's artists. Most experts remain skeptical. Was Sickert a killer or just a man drawn to darkness? The theory is dramatic, but proof is lacking. Sickert remains a character in the story, not its villain. Princes, paupers, doctors, artists, we've examined them all. Each suspect offers clues, but none provide certainty. The mystery is perfectly constructed to endure. James Maybrick, a Liverpool merchant, confessed in a diary, likely a forgery. He joins the long list of shadows. Druitt, Kosminski, Chapman, Sickert, Prince Albert Victor, Maybrick. The real killer may be lost to history, an anonymous face in the crowd. Perhaps he returned to a normal life, his secret buried forever. That's the most chilling thought. A monster, undetected, fading into obscurity. The Ripper's story endures, a cautionary tale, a detective story with no final page. The fog has lifted, but the shadow remains. We are left to wonder, to speculate, to ask the question with no answer. Who was Jack the Ripper? The darkness keeps its secret.